During World War II, the existence of entire peoples was threatened by a number of discriminations on various grounds: ethnic, racial, gender, and religious. Human life was devalued and rights and freedoms were mostly destroyed as a phenomenon. After the defeat of the Nazis in 1945, the newly created United Nations organization, in its charter, raised the issue of discrimination to an entirely new level. And gender equality became one of the fundamental values in the world system of human rights. States with successful economies do not have any gender constraints. That is, people are given the opportunities that correspond to their skills, level of knowledge and capabilities. And this is the only way that a powerful state can be built and developed. Ukraine has been fighting for its independence for 300 years and has not stopped the struggle to this day. It is believed that the pain and the real threat of losing their homeland is what helped Ukrainians clear their senses and undertake quick and qualitative changes in many spheres. In 2014, the army turned out to be unprepared to defend the country, so thousands of civilian boys and girls went to the front. Volunteer Yulia Payevska, better known by her call sign Tayura, recalled, "Back then, the decisions were made quickly and the division into female and male tasks was completely removed from their consciousness. This is about companions in arms and gender segregation, and remain quite conventional. If a woman does not meet the criteria, she has nothing to do at the front line. If women engage in any intrigue, then they are better off leaving the army. We have to be 100% confident in one another, that we will cover each other's backs, evacuate our wounded and help them. This is extremely important. This is brotherhood and sisterhood." The war that Russia launched against Ukraine is hybrid in character and its form is constantly changing. But the strength and courage of the Ukrainian security forces allowed us to secure our position and gain time to bring the home front into order. One of the most important military reforms was about introducing amendments to the law on gender equality in the security and defense sector. After all, before 2016, women who participated in battles were often left without social protection from the state. Women entered battlefields with assault rifles in their hands, but in units they were registered as cooks or medics. What was the impact of this? It affected the woman's salary, the list of medical guarantees and medical support from the state. This meant that in the event of injury, a woman couldn't prove that it was actually inflicted during the defense of her homeland. According to the Ministry of Defense and various volunteer organizations, as of November 2019, 9 female enlistees were killed in the Donbass. Dozens more Ukrainian female soldiers were injured. But even with the risks of being left without social protection, they continued to perform their combat roles. For example, physician of the National Guard of Ukraine, medbanker Ася Kitagorodska, remained true to Hippocrates' oath and didn't leave the battlefield since the first days of the anti-terrorist operation. My job was to provide medical care, yes, under fire, and even on the battlefield. But for some reason, men have always tried to help women. These divides are blurred in the war. But I wouldn't claim that they have disappeared. They are present today, but they exist at the psychological level and are more an experience of friendship than a military service. The changes made in 2016-2017 by Decree 337 of the Ministry of Defense helped to expand the powers of military women, provide them with the legal protection and promote their career advancement. The effectiveness of these decisions is best demonstrated by these figures. In 2014, 15,000 female personnel served in the armed forces of Ukraine. As of 2019, this number was grown to 55,000 female personnel, of which 25,000 are enlisted for service on a contract basis. 3,000 women hold officer ranks. In October 2018, Lyudmila Shukhaley became the first woman to be awarded the highest military rank in the Ukrainian security forces, the rank of general. It is worth noting that the law on gender equality in military service has similarly expanded the rights of males serving in the army. In particular, it is now much easier for them to go on parental leave or to take time off to care for an ailing child. Experts say this is a worldwide practice which has been ignored for a long time in Ukraine.
Gender policy is driven by the fact that in certain tasks, no matter how unpleasant it may be for men to hear this, women are more effective. They're more diligent in their duties, often performing tasks from A to Z, without missing any seemingly unimportant things. That is, women can perform their assigned tasks almost perfectly and at a much higher level than male soldiers are capable of.
Historian Alexander Pali insists on a certain consistency of today's process. In his opinion, Ukrainian girls have from time immemorial been not only very beautiful but also very courageous. 2,000 years ago, units of Sarmatian female warriors residing on the territory of present-day Ukraine repelled the attacks of Greek conquerors and upheld their entire fortresses. And sometimes they even went out on military campaigns on their own.
The so-called Amazon Sarmatian cavalry units were quite effective. They were considered highly effective warriors. There are many images where Greeks are depicted fighting them on an equal footing, suffering defeats and gaining victories. This was due to the times since a woman was lighter than a man, which meant that a horse carrying a woman has greater endurance. And when it came to archery, women and men were practically on equal footing. Sometimes women were even more accurate, since their biological peculiarities make them less susceptible to arm tremors than men.
To firmly hold the weapon and shoot to kill, these requirements are still relevant today and imposed on female cadets receiving a military education. For example, at the Academy of the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine, thanks largely to the law on gender equality, the number of female students is increasingly every year. They are trained to be responsible from the first year at the institution, and teachers change their system of methods and requirements.
Due to the gender policy currently adopted by the State Border Guard Service, we're to treat girls and boys equally, and there are absolutely no differences in their classes. That is, we don't give anybody any advantages or benefits. They all operate on the same level. And I want to add that in some activities, for example, during sniper rifle training, practical results show that girls are in fact better sharpshooters than boys.
And if these girls still have a lot to learn, then Guardswoman Olesya Sharamet has virtually nothing more to learn about all the nuances of military affairs. Until 2003, she made hand-to-hand fighting her profession. Later, thanks to her exceptional skills, Olesya received an invitation to join the military service. I started among the rank and file. Most of my posts were combat-related, not just near things, but right in the middle. I started with the post of a firearms instructor. 16 years ago, the situation was thought to be insane. A woman that joined the army and being assigned to a highly prestigious unit to boot. At that time, there were very few women, and I was the only one to hold such a high post. Women in the army were mostly clerks at headquarters. As of today, Officer Olesya Sharamet is now one of the strongest fighters in her unit, regardless of gender. She is the only female in the service capable of completing a paratrooper obstacle course in full gear. In many ways, it was thanks to such dedicated warriors that nowadays girls have much more social protection, rights and opportunities for promotion in the military service. Everything changes and is so much faster than when I joined the service, and for the better as well. There weren't any female officers at all back when I enlisted. Now the trend shows that highly specialized female officers who are trying to achieve their goals receive the rank and respect at the same level as male soldiers. A According to the changes of Decree 337 of the Ministry of Defense from 2017, female members of the service have the right to hold the positions of a sniper, machine gunner, mortar gunner and battalion commander in their unit. Like men, female officers have the right to sign a contract and remain in the military service up to the age of 60. This is 20 years longer than was permitted prior to that. If a woman wants to protect herself from certain factors, then she doesn't need to enlist in the service. If she has joined the military service, signed a contract and is paid for this, then she must comply with the terms of the law that are equal for both men and women. If they seek safety, let them go elsewhere. The army is a risky venture and is definitely not a place for living in safety. After all, the army must always be strong and independent. The United States of America, the United Kingdom and Israel. These states have some of the most powerful armies in the world. 30–35% of their staff is made up of women, and in the Israeli army, girls are conscripted along with their male counterparts. For Ukrainian women, work in the military sector is a voluntary endeavor, but it is both possible and necessary to adopt the experience and practice of Ukraine's allies. For example, in the United States, female CrossFit coaches are often assigned the posts of physical training instructors. The sport has recently been introduced into the Ukrainian military personnel training system. First of all, there should be respect in the team. Everyone, every soldier, is an individual for me. And everyone requires a proper approach. We try to find this approach, find a common ground and work together. This is exactly the case when coaches' qualifications and achievements work much more effectively than the dry orders of one senior. Yulia Ilyina is a winner of all Ukrainian and international CrossFit competitions. She considers the methods to develop a soldier's endurance from a professional standpoint.
She's both demanding and caring. She's able to organically combine these two qualities. That is, she cares not only about our results and physical parameters, but also about our recovery, having a good night's sleep, our nutrition, and our general well-being.
Another area where women are usually quick to achieve high results in the military is service dog training. Innate emotiveness helps them quickly build a trusting relationship with the dog. And this joyful work, in order to achieve the highest results, often saves human lives. If there are any activities in the ATO Joint Forces Operation Zone, dogs are often sent out to search for explosives. Clearly, this is a matter of life and death. That is, if a dog fails to accomplish its assigned task, there's a high risk that people may lose their lives. Therefore, our ultimate goal is to train dogs to reach the highest level of skill and train them to save people's lives. Identifying and neutralizing social barriers that prevent people from showing their aptitude in society, creating equal opportunities for men and women to realize their potential based on their personal choices. These are the main tasks of our country on the path towards gender equality. There's a lot more work ahead. But by the example of the security forces, we see that the stereotypes that used to be entrenched for years in our country are no longer today's realities. If a woman is a professional in her craft, if she is capable of showing, teaching and achieving certain results with her own work, then women most definitely have a well-deserved place serving in the army.